You know what? Life beyond the Thunderdome ain't so bad. Sure, we haven't got flashy pyrotechnics. We haven't got arena-wide fireworks shows. We haven't got hundreds of pairs of eyes in webcams around the world watching what we do, and at least one Pikachu. But I'll tell you what we have got, though. A phenomenal wrestling product. And whilst the black and gold doesn't have the sizzle, the steak is phenomenal. This is NXT Graded. We start with Karrion Kross, who has his arm in a sling. Seems in good spirits, though. Tells us that he came through on his promise to rip the NXT Championship from Keith Lee, like flesh from bone. But in war, there is casualties. He reveals that his shoulder has been separated, and whilst he loves the pain, he believes he will not be allowed to defend the NXT Championship in this condition. So Karrion Kross places the NXT Championship on the ground, forfeiting the title in the process. He says it changes nothing. Doomsday is still coming, and God help the obstacles that get in his way. Karrion Kross and Scarlett make their way up the ramp, and as Scarlett gets to the top of the ramp, she puts her hand on the screen, on the big Tron behind them, and the Karrion Kross logo goes up in flames. Whoa! A+. This is an unfortunate situation that brought out an incredible bit on NXT. Karrion Kross on the mic here. Just great. Just so good. Just the tone, the cadence, the wording, and then everything else around this, the production. From the smoke billowing along the ground, from the hourglass being placed and turned up next to the NXT title, to the logo going up in flames on the screen behind them. They nail this stuff every time. This is a really, really bad situation for Karrion Kross, and we wish him nothing but love on his way out. But somehow, he has become more threatening in injury than he was as champion. Amazing promo, amazing work, great setup, hell of a way to start NXT under such awkward circumstances. To commentary, we have Beth Phoenix via Zoom, Vic Joseph, and Wade Barrett's in the house. Now, I'm gonna give my thoughts on Barrett on comms now, before we get into it. He's brilliant, right? Wade Barrett, who's been doing great stuff for NWA Power anyway, he's so good here. Now, I draw comparisons with bringing in Wade Barrett to, say, a Tony Schiavone or a Jim Ross on AEW. I prefer Wade Barrett because the one thing that Wade Barrett did that I think he did better than Jim Ross does right now, he put things over. He put talent over. Every so often, Vic would talk about Wade Barrett to Wade Barrett. Wade would very briefly touch on stuff and then make it about what was happening in the ring. Make it about what was happening with the wrestlers. Admitting that he hadn't seen much of them but heard good things about them. Talking about times when he's competed with them and putting them over. Wade knew the talent. Wade focused on putting the talent over. There wasn't like any little giggly bits aside. It was focused on getting what was in front of him over. And for that, I hope Wade Barrett sticks around. I thought he was excellent. The NXT Tag Team Championships on the line in our opening match. It is Breezango challenging Imperium. They jump Imperium at the start of this, then the referee immediately gains control. What was the point? Anyway, Fandango dominated by Eichner and Barthel in the early part of this match. He gets that hot tag to Tyler Breeze, who lights the place up, even comes close to winning the whole thing as he lands a spinning wheel kick as Barthel comes off the top rope. Dango lands a dive outside the ring. He ends up eating a running European uppercut and a German suplex on the outside. Tyler Breeze ends up with a similar beating on the outside of the ring, and Fandango is on his own once again. He avoids a double baseball slide, manages to make the hot tag to Breeze, and from there we see Breeze fight back into this match on his team's behalf. 2 super kicks to each member of Imperium, and then a double leg drop by Fandango onto both members of Imperium for the 1, 2, 3. And Breezango are the NXT Tag Team Champions. They celebrate on top of the announce table, gyrating and posing and Oh, it's a lovely moment for all concerned. It's a B+ as well for a match. Really, really good way to start NXT this week. And I was very surprised to see Breezango win it, to be perfectly honest. I thought Breezango were one of those teams that was just always going to be in the hunt, but never have the actual prize. So I was very surprised by the outcome here, possibly because NXT UK is getting back underway, so Imperium may be heading over there, possibly because they may become transitional champions for Legado del Fantasma. Regardless, it's nice to see Fandango and Tyler Breeze earn some tag team gold. They've been at it as a tag team forever. They deserve it. Clap, clap, clappity clap. Timothy Thatcher and Damian Priest eye each other up backstage, possibly Thatcher getting a shot at the North American title down the line. How is he going to apply some of those leg holds to Damian Priest when Priest's leg is probably as tall as Thatcher? Just saying. Back in the ring, Jake Atlas faces the returning Tommaso Ciampa, who has a shredder-like mask thing going on and a hood over the top of his head as well. He almost looks like he's a baddie now. Atlas and Ciampa start dead quick. We've got Ciampa just wailing on Atlas in the corner, but then Atlas, following a chop, pushes Ciampa away and says, "Is that all you got?" And that is all that she wrote for Jake Atlas, because then Ciampa just unloads heavy punches, big kicks to the head of Jake Atlas, and then that Willow's Bell DDT for the 1, 2, 3. After the bell, Ciampa's not done. He beats Jake Atlas up on the outside of the ring and hits a throat slingshot from the floor to the steel supporting post underneath the ring. Unique little spot, looked horrible. Ciampa just sits on the ring apron. He just looks dead behind the eyes as medical teams come to check on Jake Atlas. They bring around a stretcher and they load Atlas onto the stretcher. And just as he's heading away, Ciampa comes to life again, hits a Willow's Bell DDT on Atlas off the stretcher onto the ramp. And we just see this smile on Ciampa's face, just admiring his destructive handiwork as he heads back up the ramp. I'm giving this an A. I thought this was a really powerful segment from Ciampa. Atlas played his part really well here, but the new heelness of Ciampa is quite intriguing. Don't quite know why he is heel again now. Not sure what happened while he was away, but he's a good storyteller, is Ciampa. Pretty sure we'll find out down the road, but the intensity, the animosity, the ferocity of Tommaso Ciampa in this segment, worthy of an A. We get a video package of Candice LeRae talking about her friendship with Tegan Knox from back in the day. She took her to a Welsh castle and they used to cook together. They had a lovely friendship. But now Candice says Tegan doesn't understand where she's coming from anymore. We're building to like an olive branch type moment between Candice and Tegan Knox in a few weeks' time. Bronson Reed is backstage and he is interrupted during his interview time by Austin Theory. Where have you been, sir? He's back on NXT. He gets in the face of Bronson saying that, hey, I was 22 when I was at WrestleMania, so maybe if you just keep reaching for the stars, you could be a champion by the time you're 55. And Reed sort of laughs about this before slapping Theory so hard, thought he might have not lost a couple of teeth. It was pretty harsh. And then Theory just stood there holding his face. Seemed quite happy with his work there. Theory back in NXT. Bit random this. Genuinely thought if Theory was going to come back, he'd be back on the Raw roster. We know that Paul Heyman was a big fan of Theory's work. Whether or not there's not many friends on the Raw brand anymore, I don't know, but here's Theory. Mia Yim heads out, and then Robert Stone and Aaliyah head onto the ramp too. They're running down Mia Yim, and then Robert Stone gets run down by the tank of Shotzi Blackheart. Shotzi gets into the ring. That is Mia's opponent for the night, and we see referees helping Robert Stone to the back, literally carrying him to the back. Well, once again, he's been run over. It's becoming a popular meme on NXT to run over Robert Stone with the tank. Yim and Blackheart have a great back and forth here. Starts quite friendly until Yim gets a little cheap shot in the face to turn the tide a little bit in her favour. The end comes of this when Mia goes for a missile drop kick and we see Shotzi step out of the way, hits a senton on the ground, then a senton off the rope for the 1, 2, 3. They put this over on commentary as Shotzi's biggest win to date. And because you're telling us that, that's the story that we're buying, and I like it a lot. Big win for Shotzi. Felt like a special moment for her as well. Giving it a B+. Really, really love the work these two did. It felt like a 20-minute match squeezed into 5. So the pace was very quick. You could have done half the stuff that you did and it still would have been a great match. Or maybe give them longer next time. I'd be fine with that. Good stuff. After Dakota Kai and Raquel González trash talk Ripley and Io Shirai ahead of our main event, we go back to the ring where William Regal is in the house. He's not on a Zoom call in his corridor anymore. He's actually in Full Sail in the real flesh. He wishes his best to Karrion Kross, who is out on a long road to recovery, and he says a solution has been reached in the NXT Championship situation. And earlier on in the night, we saw Regal in like a power meeting, like a Cobra meeting of NXT with Triple H and Shawn Michaels and Prince Albert, Matt Bloom, as of Prince Albert that time. And they've made a decision on what to do. Next week, on NXT Super Tuesday, it's being preempted, on Super Tuesday, it is going to be Johnny Gargano versus Finn Balor versus Tommaso Ciampa versus Adam Cole in a four-way match to determine the new NXT champion, and it's going to be a 60-minute Iron Man match. Shoot that directly into my veins. Whoa, that's a thing. Regal's announcement gets an A from me. Just an awkward situation to be in where this story that you've been telling for months suddenly comes to an abrupt halt and you kind of have to fix it. This has happened a few times on NXT. And I feel like when their back is against the wall creatively, they come up with something like this. It's always a show stealer. Next week, an hour, four-way, Balor, Gargano, Cole, Ciampa. I'm going to predict that's an A+. I can't see a reason why it'd be anything less than an A+. Don't give me a reason to make it anything less than an A+ next week. The Cruiserweight Championship on the line now. Isaiah Swerve Scott takes on Santos Escobar. Simple story to this. Swerve has pinned Santos. And here we are. Nearly pinned him last week. There was a phantom cover type situation. But we're going to get a decision right here, right now. Swerve starts off strong, but when we come back from a break, it is Santos wearing down Swerve with some long headlocks. But Swerve Scott will not be counted out, just keeps pushing back into this match. There's a great spot just before the start of Act 3, where we have Swerve and Santos Escobar on the top rope. Swerve goes for a springboard Hurricane Rana, off the top. Santos turns it into an avalanche sit-out powerbomb, a blonde bombshell maybe, if you will, and gets a near fall off of that. Mwah, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. I see you, NXT Twitter, using chef's kiss. I know where you got it from. Chef's kiss. Santos spits in the face of Swerve Scott, which fires him back up. Comes back into this match with a Fosbury flop and a rolling flatliner. Only get a 2 on that one. Legado del Fantasma make their presence known, running distraction. Here come Breezango to chase them away, and the match continues from there. We see the champ Santos kicking out of the house call, getting a hand on the ropes to break up the pin following a JML driver, and then he goes out of the ring and puts a mask on. And as Swerve goes to get him from outside the ring, he headbutts Swerve Scott and then rolls into the ring once he's taken the mask off and covers him. 1, 2, 3. Santos Escobar retains the title. Commentators are putting over the power of a headbutt and the legacy of the mask. It is quite obvious that he's loaded the mask because we see him in the replay putting the bit in place for the headbutt. But that's a nice long-term story that I think we will hear more from down the road. Match was an A-. Really love these guys' work here. Just beautiful stuff. The finish was very unexpected, and I'd like to see them go more. I think the fact that there is question marks over whether or not they won legit, whether Santos won legitimately, it gives us reason to do this again. After we hear from Johnny Gargano and Finn Balor about next week's 4-way Iron Man match, and my veins. Drake Maverick takes on Kyle O'Reilly. The UE jumped Maverick and Killian Dane during their match last week. That is why we are here. Drake is the plucky underdog. He is fighting from underneath against Kyle O'Reilly, who just keeps shutting him down. But Drake will not be denied, just keeps pushing on. Wipes out the Undisputed Era at one point with a beauty of a somersault senton. Match comes to an end when Drake goes for the underdog, but manages to not quite land it. Lands awkwardly on his feet. Kyle turns this into a quick roll up into a heel hold and gets the tap out win on Drake Maverick. After this, Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong jump into the ring. They've got chairs, they've got bad intentions. Here comes Killian Dane to chase them off. Drake tries to thank Killian for his help, and Killian says thank you in the typical Belfast manner of a heavy clothesline to the head. Thanks very much. This was a B. Rare singles outing from Kyle O'Reilly, and he was very good here. Drake as the underdog is always really cool here as well. The Dane Maverick thing is an interesting development that we're apparently rolling with. Okay. Also, Bobby was out there, Kyle was out there, Roddy was out there. Now Adam Cole, when all the heelish shenanigans were going on at the end. I'm sensing a dividing of the Undisputed Era. Because Cole has been he was the de facto good guy against Pat McAfee. But he wasn't involved in some nastiness here. And he's kind of a good guy going into this match next week. Are we seeing a split in the era? Remember I said this in this video. Main event o'clock, and it's Io Shirai teaming up with Rhea Ripley to face Dakota Kai and Raquel González. The money is in the big beefy battles of Raquel González and Rhea Ripley. They start off fighting, but Shirai tags herself in, and that's pretty much keeps them at bay from each other for a little while. The story here is that Kai and González are a well-oiled unit, and they just keep wearing down Shirai and Ripley with double-team shenanigans. At one point, we've got Shirai very much on the back foot against Raquel González, and Ripley's waiting for the tag, and Mercedes Martinez turns up and drops Ripley onto the steel steps face first. Takes her out of the equation for a little while. We see Raquel González nearly pin Io Shirai following a spinning slam. It looked really good, actually. Only gets a 2. As we see Shirai collapse into the corner at the far end. It looks like Dakota Kai is going to basically kick her heat off. But Ripley's back onto the apron, pushes Shirai away, and Kai just hits the corner. Then we see Ripley tag herself in, but she's still cream crackered from getting her head smashed against the steps earlier on. Gets into the ring only to eat a big boot from González and a one-arm powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. Raquel González just pinned Rhea Ripley. Big moment for Raquel González, and they stand tall at the end of the night. B+ for our main event. Really strong work from all four. Raquel González was a real standout here. Really feel like González really went to town in this match. And I feel like it's a good showcase for her as well. In fact, what's lovely about this match is that there is so many unique ways now that the women's division can splinter off. It's not all just about fighting for the women's championship. There's lots of feuds and rivalries that don't revolve around that will make for incredible singles and tag matches and such. And I'm a big fan of this. I graded this past Monday's Raw, and it was a pretty bad show. So I think the universe has shined on like-minded wrestling fans this week and given us this NXT, which I am proud to give an A- to. This was a solid post-takeover show that had to deal with quite the bump in the road in losing the guy you were about to build the company around. But they dealt with it beautifully, as they always do. Raw and SmackDown may have the production values out the wazoo. This multi-million-dollar Thunderdome setup on a Monday and a Friday. But in the middle of the week, the lights are a bit dimmer, but the show is much brighter. Stay safe. Love you, bye.